Some of the most popular and beloved TV shows weren't such at the beginning, and they were actually hated by the audience. It's rare when a TV show becomes a hit with the audience right away and keeps that popularity throughout its entire run. Some of the best TV shows of all time achieved that, but others were hated at first. A TV show's lack of popularity during its first episodes isn't always about its quality, though, in many cases, it obviously is. Sometimes a TV show is hated at first for being different from what the audience is used to watching, and others have characters that are initially misunderstood, underdeveloped, or are more of an acquired taste. Other TV shows had weak storylines at the beginning, but luckily, they improved, and the audience was more open-minded, leading them to go from hated to beloved. The Vampire Diaries. There was a big boom in vampire stories in the 2000s and 2010s, and one of the most popular TV shows was The Vampire Diaries. Based on L.J. Smith's book series of the same name and developed by Kevin Williamson and Julie Plec, The Vampire Diaries aired on the CW from 2009 to 2017, for 8 seasons. The Vampire Diaries takes the audience to the fictional town of Mystic Falls, Virginia, to follow teenage girl Elena Gilbert, Nina Dobrev. Elena falls in love with Stefan Salvatore, Paul Wesley, who turns out to be a good-hearted vampire. However, their relationship is further complicated when Stefan's mysterious older brother, Damon, Ian Somerhalder, returns to town. Damon wants to bring their past love, Catherine Pierce, back, who happens to be Elena's doppelganger. The Vampire Diaries arrived during the peak of the vampire trend, and that's exactly why it was hated at first. Not only was the show released at a time when there was an oversaturation of vampire content, but it was seen as a Twilight ripoff, which made it difficult for it to find its audience at first. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a police procedural sitcom created by Dan Gower and Michael Schur. Brooklyn Nine-Nine aired from 2013 to 2018 for 8 seasons, and though it's now regarded as one of the best sitcoms of all time as well as one of the greatest workplace sitcoms, it took it a while to reach popularity and acceptance. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is set in the fictional 99th precinct of the New York City Police Department in Brooklyn, and so it follows a team of detectives headed by the serious and newly arrived Captain Raymond Holt, Andre Braugher. One of the members of the team is Jake Peralta, Andy Samberg, a skilled but sometimes immature detective, with whom Holt initially clashes. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is now one of the most beloved sitcoms of the 2010s, but like many others, it had a rough start. The show's humor didn't quite land at first, and some viewers found the first episodes to be dumb, the comedy forced, and the characters not very likable. Luckily, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was given another chance by the audience, who eventually grew to love the show and its characters. Lucifer courtesy Netflix via Moviestills DB. Lucifer is a fantasy TV series with elements of crime, drama, and even comedy. Based on DC Comics character Lucifer Morningstar, the show follows an alternate version of him, played by Tom Ellis. Lucifer aired from 2016 to 2021, with its 3 final seasons releasing on Netflix. In total, Lucifer ran for 6 seasons. Lucifer introduces the audience to the title character, who, bored and unhappy with his life and job in hell, decides to abdicate his throne and move to Los Angeles. There, Lucifer runs his own nightclub, and from time to time, he uses his supernatural talent to get people to tell him their deepest desires. Lucifer's life takes a turn when he finds himself in the middle of a murder investigation, through which he meets Lap detective Chloe Decker, Lauren German. Lucifer then begins to collaborate with Chloe and the Lapt, using his unique talents and bonding with Chloe in the process, while some supernatural events are unleashed and people from Lucifer's past emerge. Lucifer begins as more of a crime show than a fantasy one, despite the title character's origin and skills, but this combination felt odd to some viewers at first. Some even compared it to Fox's Sleepy Hollow TV series, but, with time, Lucifer won the audience over, so much so that they were key to the show being saved by Netflix. The Office. The Office is now one of the best TV shows of all time, but it wasn't popular at the beginning. Developed by Greg Daniels and based on the British TV show of the same name by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, The Office aired from 2005 to 2013 for 9 seasons and became one of the best sitcoms in TV history. The Office follows the office employees at the Scranton, Pennsylvania, branch of Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, led by regional manager Michael Scott, Steve Carell. The Office has a mockumentary style, which is key to its comedy style and tone, and while the show's first episodes are good, its origin is what made it hated at first. Many viewers felt that The Office was a direct and inferior copy of the British show, thus not bringing anything new to the table. Michael Scott was also seen as unlikable and even annoying, and the show's tone wasn't well received. Carell's popularity was key to The Office getting another chance and its audience growing, thus saving it from an early cancellation. Parks and Recreation. Created by Greg Daniels and Michael Schur, Parks and Recreation is a political satire sitcom made in a mockumentary style. Parks and Rec aired on NBC from 2009 to 2015 for 7 seasons, and though it's now one of the best TV shows of all time, it famously had a very bad first season. Set in the fictional town of Pawnee, Indiana, Parks and Rec takes viewers to the Parks Department at Pawnee City Hall to meet eternal optimist Leslie Knope, Amy Poehler. The show follows Leslie and her friends and colleagues as they deal with different fun, and sometimes absurd, situations at work and in their personal lives. Parks and Rec had a bad start as it hadn't found its voice yet, as it was originally planned to be a spin-off of The Office. Because of this, Parks and Rec was seen as a bad copy of The Office and Leslie as a female version of Michael Scott, and thus was labeled as annoying and unoriginal. Thankfully, Parks and Rec found its voice and style towards the end of its first season, and Leslie went through much-needed changes. After that, every season of Parks and Recreation was better than the previous one. Friends. It might be hard to imagine a show as big and popular as Friends being hated at some point, but when objectively looking back at its first season, it makes sense. Created by David Crane and Marta Kaufman, Friends aired on NBC from 1994 to 2004 for 10 seasons, breaking records and making history in the process. Friends takes viewers to New York City to meet Monica, Courtney Cox, Chandler, Matthew Perry, Joey, Matt LeBlanc, Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow, Rachel, Jennifer Aniston, and Ross, David Schwimmer, as they go through many ups and downs in all areas of their lives. Although Friends' pilot episode is praised as one of the best in the world of sitcoms, the first episodes of the show weren't really exciting or engaging. Critics called the show formulaic and dumb, and it was heavily compared to Seinfeld. Friends only needed some time to prove itself, and it ended up making history for the right reasons.